Do you know about this? It's an ancient Roman sign to show satisfaction. It was given to someone who overcame any obstacles. And that's you. That's right. You've performed satisfactorily because guess what? Every major YouTube upload of Assassin's Creed Shadows, say it again, every major YouTube upload of Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer holds negative to dislike ratio. That's you. That's you. That's you. You did that. Congratulations. That's how you show these corporations that you're not having it. They hide that dislike from the public, but I'll tell you, on the studio side, you can see all of it. Believe me, you can see all of it. The official Ubisoft version is at 600,000 dislikes and counting. That's right. Spencer's not kidding about this. We've got even a live update here in a couple minutes when we finally get through these terrible numbers. We'll begin to them right now so we don't have to keep waiting. As revealed, courtesy of the Return the YouTube Dislikes extension from Mozilla Firefox, over at IGN's YouTube channel, the trailer's standard upload is currently sitting at 8.4 thousand likes to 38,000. 38,000. There's no point there. That's 38,000 dislikes. With its version following suit, with its 4K version following suit at 5,000 dislikes to 19,000 dislikes. Okay, that 5,000 likes to 19,000 dislikes. All right, it gets worse. Here we go. Likewise, PlayStation Official holds 15,000 likes to 26,000 dislikes. Xbox has 6.7 thousand likes and then to 8.9 thousand dislikes. The Game Awards version over on their YouTube channel follows suit with 1.2 thousand likes to 2,000 dislikes. If anything, this shows you nobody's watching those channels. Jeez. Yeah, and then, like, unsurprisingly, though, the bloodbath is even worse on Ubisoft's own official channels, with Ubisoft's Latino Americas upload facing 2.9 thousand likes to 25,000 dislikes. Ubisoft Brazil's seeing 285 likes to 1.8 thousand dislikes. Ubisoft Japan, on the other hand, seems to have caught quite a bit of this, and they're receiving a 3.9 thousand like ratio to 40,000 dislikes. That's quite a tilted scale. And truly, driving the point home, as Spencer says here, the upload of the Assassin's Creed Shadow trailer made to Ubisoft's main English language channel is at the time of this writing, and it gets worse, sitting on an astonishingly terrible franchise low ratio of 267,000 likes to 606,000 dislikes. And rest assured, that number is continually climbing because since Spencer posted this earlier this morning, guess what, guys? It's gone up 14,000 dislikes. That's 70% of people responding to this dislike this trailer. That's right. That's the Ubisoft's English version right here you're looking at. And you did that. I did that. We did that together to show Ubisoft that. I'm sorry, I got the Sony thing from Helldivers and the one with Eve there, Stellar Blade. I still got that banging around in my head. Sony's not involved. I apologize. Sony's not involved. Before anybody gets uppity, Sony's not involved. It's okay. However, Ubisoft is involved, and they screwed up big time, as you can see with these numbers right here. Now, what's important is to stay on this, right? Don't back down from this. Don't take this as like, yeah, we won. We taught them a lesson. Until they come out and they acknowledge that it was wrong, like you saw in the last video, to say that non-Japanese eyes were the ones that were required to tell this story. Like, excuse you? Every other protagonist in this story, in the Assassin's Creed franchise, in the story itself, has been a native of the land that they're fighting for. I mean, I get it's romantic to the idea that a foreigner would come in and fight for Japan, but honestly, why would this be the first franchise you would choose to do that in, especially in such a tumultuous time as the Sengoku era? Again, it's one of those bizarre things that I'm sort of beside myself on, and I'm glad so many other people are too. Come on, guys, you can put out a game. Like, Taka is out there. Taka Yamauchi, he was the original protagonist pitched for this game that was meant to be an Assassin's Creed a game set in Japan. It was set in this era even. I guarantee you Shadows probably borrows a lot from this original pitch. But the problem is that they decided that Yasuke being a sword bearer is not cool enough. That's what this whole thing is born out of, okay? Yasuke having the extremely honorable and the extremely rare title for an outsider, by the way, of presenting the daimyo, the regional lord, the highest of high in his area, right? With his sword. And he's an outsider. He couldn't get more outsider. Different color skin, different religion, different language, different backstories. And he grew up on a completely different side of the planet than the people than Nobunaga, who appointed him the sword bearer. This is unheard of, right? Why isn't that what's celebrated here? I guarantee you this would be flipped around if part of this trailer showed Yasuke being a servant and having a moment with Taka where they're discussing, yes, things are out of whack and out of balance, but as an outsider, I don't have the authority to say anything about this, but you have my oath that I will help you protect the Nobunaga's vision of the future, or a open Japan. I will help you defeat the Templar so Japan can stay this wonderful place where I was granted this amazing title and the freedom that I enjoy here that I did not have in other lands. That would be a much more interesting story to tell. You don't need to tell him as some freed slave even. You can just tell it as the fact that he came to Japan and he was given this role. Had he just been allowed to walk off into the countryside, that would be a different story. But Nobunaga put him to work. Well, he owned him, so he appointed him the role and said, hey, man, you're going to be my sword bearer, a very honorable role that Nobunaga's own blood relatives never got. But you got to understand, this isn't a time period when shoot-'em-up bing-bangs and laser rifles and giant Gundams are running around Japan. You don't have Godzilla you can call in for backup. A sword was the main... I'm sorry, invisible sword. Excuse me, it's an invisible sword. Invisible sword. Anyway... This weapon, this invisible sword I'm holding in my hands, this was the thing that was the most efficient way of killing in the land. Not only did Nobunaga trust Yasuke with this weapon, right, with this ceremonial weapon that he either killed or performed ceremony with, again, the sword was heaven's right. It was the divine authority of the daimyo to exercise the will of heaven through that blade. And this is what Yasuke was carrying around, and he was entitled with this as a complete and total outsider. That is an amazing thing that should be in this game. That would be a great little story to tell about Taka, who has fallen out of line with the rest of Japanese culture now that he's realized the Templar have taken influence in some way. And so he's meeting with Yasuke, who has been formerly captured by the Templar, then freed by Nobunaga, who is now falling under the spell of the Templar. And so he wants to save his master, right? He wants to save his daimyo. Great. This is a better story to tell than, screw that, it's too lame. These two white guys that wrote up the story for Assassin's Creed, that oversaw Assassin's Creed Shadow, that oversaw the whole, the process here. I believe it's Dumont and Benoit. There, we talked about him yesterday in the other video. The Asian eyes guys said non-Asian eyes are necessary. Those guys decided that wasn't cool enough. They got to rewrite the amazing history of Yasuke. Just think about that for a minute. Just analyze that for a minute. The people that tell you you're a racist because you don't like the idea of having an Assassin's Creed game that focuses on someone, or at least has partial focus, lead focus on someone that is not from Japan. All right? If you don't like that, they call you a racist. However, they themselves said that we don't want to tell the story of Sengoku Japan through Japanese eyes. I don't want to tell the story of Shaka Zulu through African eyes. Gee, that sounds awfully racist now, doesn't it? Weird how when it's on the other foot, it's not okay. But for some reason, the Japanese are our toy box here in the West. That we just go digging and rummaging through their culture and drag out whatever we like, brush it off, and reimagine it for modern audiences. That's what you're getting. You're getting Sasuke reimagined for modern audiences. Because being a sword bearer, the only of his kind, by the way, to my knowledge, in the research that I've done, I could be wrong, you can find me down in the comments, let me know, but to my knowledge, in the entirety of the military history, meaning when the samurai were actually militarily active in war or protection, or even just in the employ of a lord, until I think it was the Meiji era when they put the end of it, Yasuke's the only African samurai. There was never another one, to my knowledge, that I ever found. And he's sword bearer. You know, he was the only. Again, they're presenting him as the only samurai, legendary samurai, but he was the only African sword bearer. You know, he was the only guy that went around, the African that went around in the armor and stuff like that. And again, when you wear the armor and you carry a sword, you're not a samurai. It doesn't work like that. Yasuke stayed with Nobunaga. He was property of Nobunaga for 15 months before Nobunaga was, you know, assassinated or seppuku'd himself, as the history goes. So I want you to consider how evil it is to come in and rewrite this character and say, no, he's a legendary samurai. The real history of him is not cool enough. It's not interesting enough. We have to rewrite this real person's actual history to make them interesting. Now, again, in the Assassin's Creed franchise, they do go and they rewrite the villains to be bad guys. They turn George Washington into like a evil Templar guy, which again, you know, if you follow some of his roots, there's a little bit of that hanging around him. He's a Mason. There's a bit of that hanging around him. So they pulled from things in reality to kind of exaggerate to make him a villain in the story. Again, I tuned out of Assassin's Creed at number 3. Connor was great. I really enjoyed it. I just didn't like Assassin's Creed 4. I just didn't get into it, and I never picked up the franchise again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that makes you mad that I render an opinion about something that influenced my childhood, that I really enjoyed playing when I was younger. I'm sorry I have an opinion about it now that I'm older and I don't play it all the time. My apologies. But I think you'd agree that it's a little evil to go in and take the extraordinary history of a man like Yasuke. We don't even know his real name, the name he was given when he was born. We don't even know that. But to go in and rewrite what little we know about him, the extraordinary tale of his life, to rewrite that, to make it bigger and more grand in their minds, because being a sword bearer wasn't cool enough. I don't know. In 15 months, you can't learn how to be a samurai. That doesn't work like that. At best, you could learn how to draw the sword and parry effectively. That's a year and 3 months. That's not 15 years. It's months. Didn't work like that. So remember, as you go through and you see people melting over this, and they're so glad that finally there's a black samurai and the black samurai's getting credit. Remember how evil that is, considering the true history of Yasuke, what he lived through, and eventually his awful demise, because of every historical account that's out there. Yasuke didn't walk away. He went into prison and most likely starved to death. There's no record of him just getting up and walking away, paying taxes in another land. And I defy you to tell me that an African man wouldn't have been made note of in any census report going forward. Especially one of Nobunaga's men. Nobunaga wasn't some jerk-off that just hung out in one corner of Japan. He's a legend, good or bad, however you view him in Japan. Okay? This is a ridiculous claim to sit here and say that this guy had all this, that, and the next thing. It's not how it worked. He had a very special role. It was for a very short amount of time, but that should be celebrated. In fact, he went and defended Nobunaga's son. That should be part of the story, that Taka and Yasuke join forces and defend Nobunaga's son, who is not influenced by the Templar, let's say that, Nobunaga's son, from the revengeful attacking clan that want to purge the Templar from the land, you know, that have taken their anger out on Nobunaga's clan. I don't know about you, but that seems a lot more interesting than, he's a samurai. I hate that. I really do. Make a new character. It's not that hard. If Yasuke found his way there, make a new character. Make a fictional character that maybe one for one repeats Yasuke's life. But at the very least, you're not rewriting this guy's extraordinary tale. I don't know. I just come from the mind that people have an extraordinary story to tell wherever they come from in the world. And when we go rewriting this because we're not satisfied with it, because it's not cool enough, you do a dishonor to someone. This is why when I write things and I create these different comics and stories and superheroes and adventurers, I try not to make the heroes and the characters that do the most talking, the most philosophical exploration, real human people that walk the earth. I try to keep everybody that has an influential role in my writings fictional. So that way I don't end up treading into someone's actual story. Because you have to remember, no matter how much you like or hate someone on this earth, at one point in their lives, they were their parents' best hope for the future. And unfortunately, Yasuke's had that taken away from him. The horrible time of being a slave and going through all the trouble he had to go through, then being indentured to Nobunaga and all the weird, strange tradition he had to catch up on immediately, the weird backward language he had to learn immediately, all of this stress, all of this amazing ability to adapt completely washed over because it's just more satisfying. It's cooler to imagine the guy as this Hollywood version of himself. Just make up a fake character. You made up Taka Yamauchi, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm used to Yamamuchi, not Yamauchi. My bad, I'm very sorry. But that's, you had him right there. Could have done that, but no, not good enough. I don't know, what do you guys think about this? You let me know down in the comments below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video. But until then, good luck out there.